Hey there everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now for this episode, let's talk about another famous novelist from the UK, Charles Dickens. Now, unlike J.R.R. Tolkien from last time, Dickens is way back from the 19th century, and he was truly a genius when it came to making his stories. But, like most authors, he got his inspiration from his stories from his experiences during those days. Like, there were children who were going through rough times, some had to go to work at a young age, a few others didn't have parents, and they were put to work in workhouses. Even a few had to steal for a living during those days. Now, while A Christmas Carol is my absolute favorite story that he's written, and I hope to blog another film version of it later this year, today we'll focus on my second favorite story, Oliver Twist. It's a story about an orphan boy of the same name who starts his life in a workhouse and is then apprenticed with an undertaker. He escapes from there and travels to London, where he meets the Artful Dodger, a member of a gang of juvenile pickpockets, which is led by the elderly criminal Fagin. Now, like most books that have been written over the years, Oliver Twist did get lots of film adaptations, and I think did influence the Thief Lord story, including becoming a stage musical that premiered in the West End in 1960, and 8 years later, that show became a film in 1968. Speaking of which, my friends at Musical Theater Village have been performing Oliver for some time over the years. I first performed in Oliver back in 2006, and it wasn't really a fun experience as I thought, since I was cast as ensemble and a knife grinder. But fortunately this fall, my experience has gotten better in Oliver because my friend Don Doherty has cast me as Noah Claypole, along with a Bow Street runner and, an ensemble role in more songs than last time. However, sadly, Oliver 1968 isn't today's blog. The adaptation of Oliver I'll be looking at today is an animated version that was given to us by my heroes at Walt Disney Animation back in the late 80s. So, without further ado, released on November 18th, 1988, the movie is Oliver and Company. Now, let's get started, shall we? Oliver is an orphan kitten taken in by a gang of thieving dogs led by Cavalier Canine Dodger and owned by down-and-out pickpocket Fagin. While pulling a job in the streets of New York City, Oliver winds up being adopted by a rich girl named Jenny and landing on Easy Street. But through a series of events, a loan shark threatens the peaceful new arrangement. So, what did I think of this movie? Well, I loved it when I was a kid, and I still love it today. In fact, it's one of my favorite animated Disney films ever. But, unfortunately, while this movie was good, it was outgrossed by another animated film that was released the same day, Don Bluth: The Land Before Time, which I blogged last year. But in order to explain more information, let's move on to Mustang Notes. After the release of The Black Cauldron in 1985, Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg invited the animators to pitch potential ideas for upcoming animated features, infamously called The Gong Show. After Ron Clements and John Musker suggested The Little Mermaid and Treasure Island in Space, which became Treasure Planet, animator Pete Young suggested Oliver Twist with dogs. Originally wanting to produce a live-action adaptation of the musical Oliver at Paramount Pictures, Katzenberg approved of the pitch under the working title of Oliver and the Dodger. The film was originally much darker and grittier, with the film's opening with Sykes' two Dobermans murdering Oliver's parents, setting the story to focus on Oliver exacting his revenge as detailed in a draft dated on March 30th, 1987. George Schreiber, or is it Schreibner, and Richard Rich was announced as the directors of the project, while Pete Young was appointed as story supervisor, though Rich left about 6 months into production, leaving Schreiber as a sole director. In this adaptation, Schreibner turned Oliver into a naive kitten, Dodger and his gang into dogs, and Fagin into a human, and urged the film to be more street smart. Furthermore, Schreibner borrowed a technique from Lady and the Tramp by blocking out the scenes on real streets, and then photographing them with cameras mounted 18 inches off the ground. In this way, the animators could use the photos as templates in order to provide a real dog's-eye view of the action. As work continued on Oliver, Roy E. Disney came up with the idea that Fagin would attempt to steal a rare panda from the city zoo. However, the writers would have problems with the idea, and the panda subplot was eventually dropped when Schreibner suggested to have Fagin hold Oliver for ransom because he was a valuable rare Asian cat. For the film, Disney invested $15 million into a long-term computer system called Computer Animation Production System, or CAPS, which was later used for other films like The Rescuers Down Under. Unlike The Black Cauldron and The Great Mouse Detective, which used computer imagery for special sequences, 11 minutes of Oliver and Company were computer-generated, such as the skyscrapers, the taxicabs, trains, Fagin's scooter cart, and the climactic subway chase. Meanwhile, the traditional animation was handled by the next generation of Disney animators, including supervising animators Glenn Keane, Ruben A. Aquino, Mike Gabriel, Hendel Butoy, and Mark Henn, as the 9 old men had retired in the early 80s. Throughout 2.5 years of production, 6 supervising animators and a team of over 300 artists and technicians worked on the film. Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill was a database for the New York City skyline. Oliver and Company contains the instrumental score by J.A.C. Redford under the supervision of Carol Childs, while Jeffrey Katzenberg had the idea to bring in big-name singer and songwriters, each of whom would contribute a song into the film, including Billy Joel, Barry Manilow, and Huey Lewis. At his suggestion of his friend David Geffen, Katzenberg brought in lyricist Howard Ashman. Musical composer J.A.C. Redford was brought to compose the score, who had a working relationship with Disney Music executive Chris Montan. On the series St. Elsewhere, Ashman, who with Alan Menken would write the songs for the next 3 Disney films like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. Now, the songs that I love in this film, for example, are Once Upon a Time in New York City, sung by Huey Lewis, which makes an interesting opening song, but it does get depressing halfway through the song. Why Should I Worry, which is my all-time favorite, has a, great beat to it, and it also gets a great reprise at the end of the movie. Streets of Gold, sung by Ruth Pointer, is my second favorite, and I recommend you guys to check out the extended version on YouTube. Perfect Isn't Easy is an okay song, but it does have a certain Broadway flair to it. And lastly, the song Good Company is sweet, mostly because it shows Oliver and Jenny doing things together around New York City, like taking a boat ride, going for ice cream, using sticks across a fence, even taking a carriage ride in Central Park. Now, fun fact though, my friend Daniel Guzman told me that there was one song called Living in a Box, performed by a band of the same name, that was originally going to be in the film. And in my eyes, Daniel's right. It does seem to fit the theme with its 80s style of music. Also to note, the animation for this film looks pretty good for an 80s animated Disney film. Plus, some parts of the movie do stay true to the Oliver story that Mr. Dickens wrote, but a bit more family friendly. Even though there are some serious stuff at times, like ransoms and a debt that needs to be paid. Also, after watching this movie again, it makes me think of the time 10 years ago when I took a vacation in New York City with my mom and sister. Now that we're done with the Mustang notes, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Our main character, Oliver, is voiced by Joey Lawrence. Oliver is an orange orphaned kitten who is looking for a home. He joins Fagin's gang of dogs before being taken in by Jenny. He also saves her life from the black-hearted loan shark Sykes. Next we come to Dodger, voiced by the piano man himself, Billy Joel. And he's my favorite character in the movie. Dodger is a carefree, charismatic mongrel with a mix of a terrier in him. He claims to have considerable street savoir-faire, or streetwise. He's also the leader of Fagin's gang of dogs, Oliver's first acquaintance, as well as his eventual best friend and bodyguard, and the object of Rita's affection. Next up is my second favorite character, Tito, voiced by the hilarious Cheech Marin, whom after this film was in The Lion King, and the Spy Kids trilogy, and also Pixar's Cars films. Tito is a tiny yet passionate chihuahua who has a fiery temper for his size, and rapidly develops a crush on Georgette, although she is initially repulsed by him. One reason why I love Tito is not because of his personality, but because he makes me think of folks who are techies because of the way he fiddles with electronics like wires on a radio or security cameras. We also have Einstein, voiced by Richard Mulligan. He's a Great Dane who is named ironically as he is not particularly bright, representing the stereotype that Great Danes are friendly but dumb. No offense. Next we have Francis, a bulldog with a British accent voiced by Roscoe Lee Brown. He appreciates art and theater, particularly Shakespeare. He also detests anyone abbreviating his name as Frank or Frankie. Kind of like me in a way, whenever people mispronounce my name. Next we have the beautiful Rita, voiced by Cheryl Lee Ralph. She's a Saluki and the only female dog in Fagin's gang. She is streetwise and takes Oliver under her wing. And in my opinion, she's similar to Nancy from the original story. I mean, why is she similar to Nancy in a way? Well, because she has a little crush on Dodger, and she gets along well with him, and she even flirts with the two Dobermen who I'll talk about later. Next we have Dodger and the gang's owner, Fagin, voiced by the late, great Dom DeLuise, who's been in most of Don Bluth's films like The Secret of Nim and American Tail, and All Dogs Go to Heaven. He was also in a film I talked about recently on my top 13 bad films that I like list, The Magic Voyage. Fagin is a petty thief who lives on a on a houseboat in the Hudson River with his dogs. He desperately needs money to repay his debt with Sykes. Because of his economic situation, he's forced to perform criminal acts such as pickpocketing and petty theft. But in truth, he is good-natured and polite most of the time. Next is my third favorite character, Jenny Foxworth, voiced by Natalie Gregory, who was Alice in the 1985 Alice in Wonderland TV special. Jenny is a kind, rich girl who lives on Fifth Avenue. She's being looked after by her butler, Winston, while her parents are away. She takes Oliver in after a little incident in her car, and later she gets kidnapped by Sykes when she goes to get Oliver back from Fagin. Next we have Georgette, the Foxworth family's show-winning poodle, voiced by the wonderful Bette Midler, whom tons of folks might know from Disney's Hocus Pocus, and she was also a guest star in Fantasia 2000. Georgette is a vain and, spoiled poodle. She even becomes jealous of Oliver, but eventually she does accept him and Fagin's gang. She even joins them to rescue Jenny. Next we come to our villain, Bill Sykes, who's played by Robert Loggia, whom I know as the U.S. General from Independence Day. Sykes is a cold-hearted, immoral loan shark and shipyard agent who lent a considerable sum of money to Fagin and expects it paid back. Otherwise, Fagin will get hurt. Sykes also has vicious Doberman pinschers named Roscoe and DeSoto, who have a hostile history with Dodger and his friends. Roscoe is the apparent leader, while his brother DeSoto seems to be the more savage of the two. And now it's time to move on to my final words. Now, while the original Charles Dickens story may be a classic, Oliver and Company is still a childhood favorite of mine. The animation is decent, the characters are adorable, memorable, and funny. The songs are nice to listen to, mostly with Why Should I Worry or Streets of Gold. And like the original story, there are some serious moments, like Fagin's death to Sykes and the ransom part. Still, if you like a family version of Oliver, then this film might be for you. So, I give this film a 96% out of 100. Now before I go, I need to say something very important. If you guys would like to see, if you'd like to see Oliver perform at Musical Theater Village, just go to this website below for information on tickets. But you only have until October 11th to see it. So until then, be sure to join me for my next blog. Mustang Power!